afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Bass Cast Radio. It is Wednesday night. It is time to hit the record button. Hopefully, everyone out there has had a great week so far. Guys, it's Bassmaster Opens are going on this weekend, so I know I'll be tuned in and watching Saturday and Sunday on Fox.
Oh, yeah.
But last week, you guys all know, went to Hopewell for the Rivers and Roads event. For the first event, guys, it pretty much went off without a hiccup. A pickle is what everybody keeps saying here lately. I don't know where that word's come from, but it had a couple little issues, but we're not going to go into that because a lot of people were taking notes, and hopefully a lot of people were seeing ways to improve for 2025. But I'll tell you one thing, it was really cool. It's probably about 50 to 75 spectators out there in the watching. We went live, but it was very cool that the anglers got to drive up, get out of their boats, bring their fish, come up on stage to their own music. They had a DJ,
Wow.
so that was really cool. And then, you got to talk, show off your fish, and then put them back in a truck and get them back in the water. The water wasn't too bad. So, guys, I ain't go. The river was maybe 2 blocks away from where they were having all the event. So it wasn't like it's like Bassmaster and they're driving for 45 minutes to a weigh-in.
They're not driving from Cherokee down to Thompson Bowling like they did.
Right. So, guys, I want to let you know that now. So the fish were, in, out, and back in the water. But like I said, it was a great event. $10,000 to the winner. It does suck. I was kind of sad that they had a pretty good group early, and then they had another group come on after the weigh-in, and we got a great shower, and I left. So I didn't want to have to sit in the rain, but I left and uploaded all content and got it up for you guys on the internet. So Bass Kings again this past weekend. Another great turnout for that. Liberty University had 17 boats, so it was a good weekend on the water. I didn't write everything down. I probably shouldn't write down more notes, but I did leave from there, and I headed on over to the 2-day BFL on the James River, and that was I got to see one of my buddies win co-angler, so that was cool. His first big event, and so it was a bass weekend. The tent was great, guys. I posted a photo of that. At 2 people stopped me that I guess ain't a lot of people got rooftop tents on their car, or Forerunner, but it's a great way to travel. I mean, you can stay at most state parks. This campground I found, 40 South is what it's called. Shout out to them. They had electricity, water, and a great picnic. I mean, it wasn't like an old school picnic table. It was actually a Rubbermaid new picnic table. Most places I go to like that got an old wooden picnic table. It's falling down. So, and that was $30 a night. I mean, and it had internet. So, thank you to Elon.
I've stayed at some hotels that they're probably $30 an hour, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Thank you to Elon Musk for the internet. So I appreciate that. Because that's what we had with Starlink. But I mean, like I said, it was great. No issues whatsoever. So 40 South, if you guys have ever checked out the campground, need a place to stay, just an overnight trip. There's a lot of campers, a lot of money sitting in front of that thing. But guys, before we get started on tonight's show, don't forget, if you guys want to listen to Basscast Radio, we're on all the podcasting networks. Plus, we are on American Angler Outdoors. You guys, if you want to watch the video, you guys can watch it there. I'm trying to look for my daggone length, everybody. Phones done moved on me, I think. All right. We're on Grove Street Radio, by the way, right here in heart of Bedford, and Dockside Radio. It's getting ready to come on. So, guys, check it out. Appreciate them being a part of the basscast.com and Basscast Radio. So that's it for me, man. It was a great weekend, great traveling, no issues whatsoever. Thank goodness for that. And we're back on the road this weekend, heading to the 5 Alive Championship on Kerr Lake. So tune in to that. I think I'm just going to go down for the Saturday event and hang out with Mama Sunday wrap up, and I will hang out with Mama on Saturday. So Guys, if you're watching, Thomas is not at home, not in the cool studio. He is at the beach, and I really, really appreciate him coming on tonight from the beach. What's happening, Thomas?
So I was still editing. I had a fantastic episode drop today with the Army Corps of Engineers that run Kerr Reservoir, and they literally talked about the history of how that lake was built from World War II till now, how they clear cut it, designed it, and everything. Because I really thought it'd be a cool episode that I'm trying to do for a bunch of these big lakes called the How They Built It series. I'm going to do Smith, Gaston, and stuff because
That's
I
awesome.
really didn't know. Like some of these lakes, they flooded a town. So like
Yeah,
how do you do that thing of, hey, guess what, Grandma? You gotta go. So I thought that was really interesting to give another perspective on some of those places.
that is awesome. If you guys, that was funny you talking about that because I was actually talking to the gentleman who owns Richmond Marine, and we were talking about Smith Mount Lake and how PBS did a whole entire like 1 hour video on Smith Mount Lake and how it all come about and the flooding and all that stuff. So yes, it's out there if you guys want to watch it. It came out about, I don't know, probably about 2 or 3 years ago. Thomas might even be older than that because when you get old, you forget.
Smith is only 50 years old or something like that, right? It's kind
Yeah,
of a
yeah,
baby.
yep.
Huh.
You
Bass Geek.
should you should check out there's some stuff on it on YouTube where Norris Lake that I fish,
Oh,
they actually found a uh pyramid. So and they wasn't real sure
That's cool.
who built it. Like this is legit. You can go to they have a museum, but it got flooded. Towns, there were towns in South Holston and Norris and all that stuff too. So but yeah, the pyramid thing's really cool. You should look that up.
that is awesome.
Really cool.
So,
So
guys, how many people really do know the history of their lake and how their home lake, come about? I mean, we fish all these bodies of water, and we push here on Basscast Radio about taking care of our water
mhm.
and being a major part of what the Virginia, the DMV, not DMV, the Virginia. Um, you guys know, I'm tired. The Virginia board does around here, but guys, that's some cool history about our local bodies of water. Thomas,
Hi.
let's roll it over to Bass Geek. Bass Geek was before Bass Geek came on. Bass Geek was hooking up his bass boat. Everybody,
We were putting what I feel like should be the next device. I don't understand how everyone's not up in arms because we talk about spotlighting deer with forward facing sonar, and electronic calls are totally illegal
mm-hmm.
in hunting except for nuisance species. So I don't understand why the Hydrowave hasn't received a ton of backlash and has not had the cry to ban Hydrowave. So I want to start that here today. Ban Hydrowave. Electronic calls are illegal. It's cheating. Cheater box.
So probably, guys, the reason why they haven't banned Hydrowave yet, or it's not going to happen, was because Kevin Van Dam was a big KVD was a big.
You can't
pusher.
ban anything. Listen, if KVD
He
had
pushed
a
it.
hummingbird that had a KVD version of the what do they call theirs? Whatever, Mega Live.
Yeah.
Yeah, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
No.
Do you think I on my older boat I had a Hydrowave. Is it just I have two thoughts on this. It camouflages the noise in your boat,
It
and that's
does.
Yep.
or is it because it helps fire up the bait, or do you think it's both, or do you think it leans one way?
I think it's both. And listen, I'll be the first to tell you, so again, I'm a network geek, I'm an electronics geek, and I can tell you right now, I can build one of those for you for $30. I won't, I'm not getting into that. The price is ridiculous, it's stupid, it's so overpriced, it blows my mind. It makes me mad. But so I can't say it's worth it just because, oh God, I hate it, but I love it. So
it was like Geek was saying, it was when it first came out, it was push that it stirred up the fish.
And so it stirs up the shad.
The shad,
and,
yeah.
Hey, if you're going down the bank throwing a jig, probably not your thing, even though they do have like jig crawfish on rocks. I don't think that really is going to help you out a lot. But if you're fishing for bass that are feeding on shad, like I can tell you, as much as I hate to admit this with that thing, it's probably helped me catch more fish than live scope has. And I mean that. Like, that's not me joking. Because during the summer when I'm ledge fishing, and I don't cut it on at first because I don't want them getting used to it. I don't want them, but if it is tough, I can guarantee you, if I'm throwing a swim bait or fishing bass that are feeding on shad, as soon as I cut it on, within 5 minutes, I will catch 1 to 3 bass every time.
Wow.
Now they'll get used to it.
Yeah.
So I will cut it back off. When back before live scope, when I was just the Mickey rigging, vertical, we seen the real-time window, which is live, 100% live. I've been using a version of live fishing since before live scope. What a lot of people don't know is 2D sonar actually has one. And so we would get, over top of those bass in 50. Everybody thinks that we can only fish for deep bass now that we've got live scope. Well, I've caught them in 50 or an 80 foot well before live scope ever come out. And those fish, we would drop down to, we'd watch them come up off the bottom and then turn away from our lures, just like I do every day on the live scope. But even back then, one of the things I would do is I would wait to cut that live scope on, or I would wait to cut that Hydrowave on until I got over top those bass. Once they started coming, I would turn that live scope on, or once I knew they were in that area, I would turn that live scope on, because I think a lot of times, because I was fishing around such large schools of shad, it would kind of black out. The boat would kind of black out. The sunlight down there, and I think they would just confuse it for a giant school of shad, with that one shad dying would go down and eat. And it was a technique I use to this day vertically, because it works so well. So
That's awesome.
I used it with I think it was the Gen 1 where I had the bluegill attachment software and stuff. Dude, you could start hearing more of the bluegill start kissing on the surface, especially when you're fishing spatterdock fields up on the Potomac. It's to me, it's like when to turn it on. That's the thing. Do you always keep that thing going or not?
No. And even when you turn it on, like I still use it in the oh gosh, what do they call it? The momentary mode, where it's just
30-second, 10-second intervals.
Yeah. So I like it. So the new one, because I've got the Gen 1 run in 1 minute increments. So I'm hoping that one has an adjustment you can run in 1 minute. I don't know yet, because I haven't used it, because I think 30 seconds is just too close together, for my opinion.
Does it affect so I know when I have my 360 and my 34 black box running at the same time, my 34 image does go down a little bit. Do you see any kind of image issues at all when you run both that and the live scope?
Now, I hadn't seen it on on old Ruby, the old Triton. So we just literally, that's why I was running late today, was because we just got it installed. My buddy Mike's still out there, kind of, hooking the wires back up to the graphs. But I'll tell you, if you've got something like that going on, I would think it'd be more of a wire interference problem. And it doesn't just have to be. This is one thing, being a network guy, understanding what twisted pair is. Twisted pair, the reason why it's twisted pair and it's data cables, so we're talking about Cat 5, is because it actually cancels out, due to those twists, it cancels out the electronic interference output from those cables. So a lot of times you can have cabling, even if it's laying along. Like I had noticed, and I went out there while I was doing this and changed where my graph cables ran, because I noticed every time I would step on my trolling motor, even though they're run to completely different batteries, that I was getting a loss of signal, which I did not get last year. And I had changed over to the 16-volt battery and everything. So I figure it had to be where a couple of cables were laying together. And power, just like power lines, will emit, electromagnetic fields. And so cables that's the reason why data cables have to be, if you take them apart, they're twisted so they cancel out the bleed over from each individual wire. And so,
And this is just for people that are listening. If you invest the money to get the electronics, I do suggest, even if you are a great electrician, taking your boat to a marine grade person that will get everything run perfect.
yes,
It makes a huge difference.
yeah. And for me, I pulled enough cable and fiber and stuff. I would say, like, for a dumb redneck, I'm a little bit advanced in this part.
Come on, Geek. All right. So the Hydrowave, guys, Geek's we know we're gonna have video come out pretty soon on the brand new, but with it being on the boat, and he's gonna talk all about it. So you guys make sure you tune into that. What are the videos you got coming out, man? You still dropping the 4 to 5 each week?
We're still dropping the 3 long plays, and we're dropping actually 7 shorts right now. So, but yeah, the 3 long plays are bread and butter: Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, and then everything else in between. That's just like a little bit of teasers, basically. So tomorrow we'll have a topwater bait that everybody knows about, but I think it gets really overlooked a whole lot, and especially this time of year.
All right, so make sure you guys go follow Bass Geek on YouTube right now. I haven't looked. What are we up to? About 80,000 so far?
We are, yeah, we're over the 80. We're at
That's right, you're over 80.
We're almost to 81. I think we're 2 and change from 81. The last video I've kind of hit and miss, maybe lost a few.
It's all good.
But 80,000 700, and my favorite number, 69.
69. All right. So, like I said, always head on over, follow Bass Geek. Fishing in DMV, make sure you guys are following there as well, so you do not miss a live or any other videos Thomas is dropping, and they're dropping a lot of content, so you guys be a part of that. I did want to talk. I really didn't want to hit too much into forward facing sonar tonight at all, but I really did want to say congratulations to NPFL for being the first ones to actually ban it. We'll see how the season goes. It's going to be a lot of complaining, and there'll be a lot of great content for us. But I kind of understand, and we've had this conversation about the tackle industry as a whole, and how that you can pretty much just now buy 5 baits and you're good to go. And, there is more other baits. There's more other ways to fish. I mean, there's a lot of different things that it's hurting the industry, to be honest. I mean, it's helping the big boys a little bit, but it's hurting the industry a little as well. So
I've got opinions on that.
I know you do, Geek.
My opinion on that is, again, we're not going, look, that's a here and now.
Yes.
We were talking about Thomas was talking about the lakes, 50 years old. For 50 years, those bass on the banks have been fished for. So they are pretty well pressured, right? Mm-hmm. For 0 years, or at least 2 to 3, those fish that are out in open water have now been pressured. So they're a little less, or a little more susceptible to really anything that you throw at them. Now, when it comes to the bait companies, do I feel sorry for them? No. Get off your butt and innovate. I think the thing of it is forward-facing sonar could open up a whole new, instead of everybody copying a stick bait, a chatter bait, a spinner bait.
That is true.
250 different jigs. How about we actually innovate? How about we actually listen to the people that use that product and the fish that they're seeing and what they're actually doing and how they react to things? Like, look, Duo Realis, the Heartbeat, bravo. You're getting companies that are starting to think about it. Instead of Strike King and everybody coming out with another stupid minnow bait, come on, the minnow bait's going to end, guys. It's going to end. It's like a chatterbait. It's like an A-rig. It's like anything else. They're going to get used to this.
Oh yeah.
But innovate,
Go ahead, Thomas.
innovate. Isn't that how business works?
That's a
Yes.
dude, there's a whole other rabbit hole we could do that about.
Lead. Well, how's the saying go? Lead, follow, or get out of the way, or
Yeah.
fall behind. How's it go?
And not to make this business talk live, but that's a problem with a lot of American corporations right now is they're risk adverse. Because to make a product that's new, there's risk because you could just play the greatest hits like a
Hmm.
cover band, or you can go in the basement, do some ayahuasca, and experiment with new music. It might suck, or it might be the best thing ever. And I'm sorry, Japan's kicking everyone's ass because they keep trying. I think, Geek, I sent you this last week. They made
Yes.
a in Japan
Yes.
because they have so many retaining walls and concrete slabs. What if we made a topwater bait that purposely would go left or right?
Yes.
An American company would never think this is a really small niche, not worth it. They did it, and it looks cool.
But you know
Like,
what that's great for? Floating docks.
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
How many people got floating docks on them? Every
Yeah.
lake I go to.
One or two. So,
So
yeah, I just again there is it forward facing sonar or American companies being lazy? And the other thing is the schedule. I have this year's schedule pulled up right now, and I just want to go through a couple of them real quick. The
Okay.
first one was Toledo Bend in February. Do you think that would be a forward facing sonar jig and middle jerkbait type of deal or a chatterbait deal? What do we think here? Raise of hands. Then you have the Harris chain, and then the St. John's. Okay, chatterbaits, maybe some swim jigs, and then you're going to what? Lake Murray, Wheeler Lake, and Smith Lake in May to June?
Yes.
No shit. Like, I mean, so how much of it is also the scheduling when they go to places? Because when Ott Defoe and John
yes.
Cox and all of them were killing it with those flat-sided crankbaits, they were there at a specific time of year where you could actually do well in a tournament.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
So I don't know. Just next year, I'm interested because I think this, I could be mistaken. Comment section help me out. They're going to 4 different rivers next year. I don't think they've ever had that many rivers stacked.
No.
Wow.
He's
So,
right. That's definitely true. It's going to
so
be an
Dini-
interesting schedule.
Yeah, 4. Okay, sorry, I gotta check my math. It is 4. But
So, yeah,
yeah,
it's-
so
We'll see.
yeah. I mean, I guess my last thought on that is, with that said, you're gonna have more frogging, you're gonna have more flipping, and you're gonna have more crankbait stuff. So how much of that are gonna be winners with one of those baits actually on the front of their deck? Because Mississippi, I've seen like Christine Fisher or the Hopi Kayak is doing. They're like catching a ton of smallmouth on a frog, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Guess what? That stock is going to go up. When Ish Monroe kicked it about 2 or 3 years ago, and when Bassmaster went there on a frog
Yeah.
sales went up. So again, I just think we're very reactionary because we want to tie this to forward-facing sonar and not like take a step back and let's look at the whole picture.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on from that. So the topic that I kind of wanted to hit on tonight, guys, was the reversal by Bass. You guys all know what a fiasco that was. We have seen a lot of our opinionated friends, acquaintances, whatever, make their verdict on it and wonder what the heck is going on at Bassmaster right now. Guys, you have to, I mean, like we said about business, and I've met a lot of people at Bass, and I don't know what type of counsel they have, but pretty much everyone that I have met are pretty much, besides media, are all business people. You know, they're running a business, they're running a company, and they're not really, I mean, I don't know who's putting these schedules together. I don't know who's making these decisions or where this is coming from.
Brian, press release wise, did the NPFL win? Just win for just press release professionalism? Would we all
Yeah.
agree like
They did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Whether I
100%.
like it or not,
Oh,
which I
yeah,
don't,
yeah.
but they
Yeah.
won. And I totally understand, like we said. I understand what they did. They're snatch and grab.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, just from a business sense, where it felt like whether you like their decision or not, they had their shit together, at least when they did it, where
Yep.
Bass felt like they were throwing it out last minute, and MLF, I mean, was just did a line
Oh
of
my
cocaine,
God.
and they're like, guys, hear me out. What if we
I
invented
mean-
a language?
I need another I need a translator to understand. So
Yeah.
I've got to go out there and measure how tall my graphs are.
Yep.
And I mean, come on, let's just kiss, guys. Hey, listen, if there's one thing I can share with all of you organizations, keep it simple, stupid. Pretty please.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, the anglers are smart enough to buy a $150,000 bass boat. They really are. I mean, crazy as hell, but you know, they're smart or stupid. I'm not sure which one to say. To sign buy $125,000 to $150,000 Ranger, and that's a lot of most of all our listeners' price tag. But I mean, but when it comes down to a weigh bag, measuring inches, I mean, you know, having things set up the correct way, it's going to be a tough. I mean, you kind of wonder why they made this type of decision.
Who's gonna, or is there an official?
Yeah.
That before, are we going to see the boat official get out a ruler before? And then what's the penalty?
And again, I've said this
$50,000 fine.
Everything Major League Fishing does is a lot of times it could be great ideas that are just executed terribly. And
yes.
If their thought is, hey, we need to limit how high the graphs are because they're becoming 30 inches and there's a hazard there, great. Okay, I get where your mind's at, but how do we execute that better? And it just feels like there's chaos. And y'all, whether it's Bass or MLF, you've been sitting on this for a while. Why does it still feel like it was a fire drill when you did all this?
Yeah.
And if I was a professional angler, whether it's Bass or MLF, that's where I'm disconcerting, where it felt like the test was due at midnight and you waited till 9:59 to get your homework done. And then you see the repercussions of they dropped this thing. And I like how they spaced it out too about the no information rule and everything. They spaced it out, I think strategically, of course. And then to re-roll it back, you could say that's a good business thing because they're listening, but then why do it in the first place? Like, why didn't you get more feelers out about this before you even do it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you guys all saw the rule. I mean, the rule change, and the rule change was that, you know, no information starting January the 1st, 2025 about the lakes that they were going to. And then they reversed it back to the after consistent feedback, men, from the Elite Series pros, Bass will revert back to the rule stating the starting limit immediately September the 8th, 2024. Anglers may not get information from any source that is not publicly available on the 2025 Elite Series venues or 2025 Bass Pro Shops Classic presented by Jockey. Additional Bass adding EQ Elite Qualifier anglers to rules. To be clear, effective immediately, both Elite Series anglers and EQ anglers are prohibited from getting outside information on 2025 Elite venues. So was this, you know, did the young kids start complaining again? I mean, did Trey, you know, my coach, I'm gonna have to fire my coach. What am I gonna do?
I don't know about, like, I don't want to read. I personally can't read into that very much. I don't have as many friends fishing at that level. Yeah. I'm gonna go from the business standpoint of Major League Fishing. I think they pulled a Hollywood route. They kind of leaked the idea of BFL banning forward-facing sonar before they said anything to gauge it.
Yep.
And then Bassmaster just yeets it and says, we're just going to do it and see what happens. So that to me is where there's poor taste. Like, why didn't you talk to the anglers before you did this rule? Because there was so much unanimous blowback. It's hard for me to believe it's like, oh yeah, we talked to them before we decided to pass this law.
So number one, I mean, one of the things that all the elite anglers complained about this year was the gap, the hole between the EQs and the elites, because that's where a lot of the rookies were able to gather information that the pros were not, or that the elites were not last year. So at least that's plugged. You know, I mean, I've always been of the mindset that not everything that the athletes in any pro sport want is best for the sport, right?
Right.
Yeah,
and so my opinion is, and has always been, and I say it's why I thought Major League had lightning in the bottle and totally screwed it up, was they thought the novelty of the refs and the penalties and the live was what made them great, when it was really no practice, nobody knew where they were going, and it was just like us going out on the weekend. We had to refine the bass like we always have to do. So I'm always for no limits, no practice, no information, and the longer you can get it, the better. I
Why
like
do you think there was so much blowback?
because I'll tell you right now, and they can sit and say, "Oh no, we don't get bull." They do. They all do. I was at East Tennessee. I'm not gonna say what lake and what tournament, but we could talk about. I talked to pros. I had one pro we were talking to who is a MLF Angler of the Year. I think maybe twice, and we were talking about other lakes, but we both knew what we were talking about.
Mm.
How
So it's bull. They get it. They do it. It's going to happen. It's impossible to police, in my opinion.
Oh, and that there's two things on it. Like one is like, yeah, how do you create rules for things that are impossible to police? But
Yeah.
to me, from an athlete standpoint, if you are a pro that's been on the circuit for 30 years and you've gone to the St. John's River 700 times in the same time frame, how important is that information to you compared to if you're brand new on the
Yeah.
tour? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, is it as vital if you're a two-time AOI, like, oh, I need the information on the lake I've been to 1,000 times, or is it
hmm
more helpful for a new guy? I don't know, and that's why I'm asking. Like, I don't know.
well, I mean, it's in my opinion. I mean, it's got to be unless it's just one of those lakes you just can't seem to get a grip on.
Right, right.
I mean, it's got to be more vital to a someone that's never been there by far.
And that's what the whole thing about the issue was that came out with Trey McKinney, and that was the issue there, that they had never been to a bunch of these lakes, and so they got a coach to help them. And I don't, we still don't know. They never came out with really any good information regarding the coach deal, because a lot of people like to know what they really meant by a coach. Did you get a guide trip before before off limits, to show you around, or what was the definition of a coach that we never learned?
Hey, look,
Yeah,
I'm just going to tell you, it's not a bad idea for any pro, in my opinion.
No,
Look, to pay a buddy to go pre-fish for you, pre-fish, right? Like, I
yeah.
mean,
And to make sure that we don't get killed in the comment section for this, because I understand where this is going, because I experienced this in my comment section. Let's separate out what McKinney did and coaches in general, because this is something that we had some flavorful comments that I dealt with. I know Kenny's coach is someone that he's had for a while, but in general, now to separate away from Kenny, what is a coach and what should the definition of a coach be, even if it wasn't McKinney? Because how can you have a coach if Bass would allow it in general, but then have these no information rules? That feels like that can't be compatible at
yeah,
all.
yeah.
Could be mistaken.
see, so you wonder if that where the real blowback came regarding that rule from. Was it the younger generation? We probably wasn't the older generation. I mean, half, like you were saying, Geek and Thomas, half of them been to the same lakes. If they've been on a series for at least 25 years, they've been there probably at least 10 to 12 times.
I've always wondered about that. I didn't mean to cut you off, but like if you go and Geek, you fish probably the same lake in the spring, you probably have an idea of what the hell to do. I know
Yeah,
Potomac River, there are three creeks in April you go to, you're gonna hit some kind of dirt.
yeah.
I would love to get some of these veteran pros. Like, do you really just to do okay? I'm not saying you win, but just do okay. How much
Yeah,
information do you need when you've gone to Lake Murray 38 times in May? Is it necessary for you? And if they unanimously say in my rabbit hole, it doesn't really affect us very much, then my next question would be, so are you guys upset about the no information rule because of how you view the rookies? Because then it would be the rookies really want it because it gives
yeah,
them an advantage, which is
right,
fine.
right.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and
Yep.
then again, we're seeing
I
that.
think that's the dust up this year. I mean, you've seen a perfect storm of they were
Hmm.
able, the EQ qualifiers were able to gather information that the others hadn't, and they had spent a lot of time on the water, which I think a lot of pros underestimated the how you could use a live scope right now, and you just seen this perfect storm, come
Yeah.
together. And It's like I said, I mean, we've not seen the live scope's really not been that big of a player until, for me, the past 2 years. But I think, on the pro side of things, it really showed up this year. And it was that, hey, the young guys are shoving us down because they've got all this time with live scope and pre-practice and practice, and now
Hmm.
they've gathered all this information, and we can't cash checks. You know,
Yeah.
we can't
Yeah.
points race.
But then you
And
look at it. Go ahead, Thomas.
oh, no, no, you got it.
You look at it too, though. And most of these guys that I ain't gonna say all of them doing the complaining, but most of them, they're 50. They got a family. They got a part-time job. And these young kids, like I've said many times, have made bass fishing their job. I mean, their job is to cash checks, and it doesn't matter how they cash checks. And that's what's pissed so many people off, because it doesn't matter how they cash checks. And like you said, Geek, the time on the water and, putting in practice, coach, whatever way that they've been able to. And that was the big fuss, the gray area, is this gray area.
And in my old life in baseball and stuff, I umpired for, what was it, 12 years, did high school and some college games. And the thing that I hated the most are these gray area ass rules you had to remember. And
Yeah.
I hate it. If you're an organization, the idea of it is great, but how do you execute it? Utopia sounds great, and all you need is
Mhm.
communism. But in theory, it sounds great until you can't eat. I like the idea of no information. How the hell do you actually enforce that consistently? And so that's where I think you almost need to go the other way. Say, just guys, go for it, because we physically, if we try to enforce this at all, we're going to make somebody mad because they'll be he said, she said, and well, you didn't do it to this person.
Yeah. And the current model just really doesn't work
Hmm.
with what the MLF wants to do, because Bass and MLF make so much money from the venues, the lakes, the towns coming in. Uh, I mean, unless there is some way, and I
Mm-hmm.
mean, to keep a secret between three people, you have to kill two of them. So,
Well, speaking of venues, it sounds like here's this for a little segue. Toyota is no longer going to California,
Oh,
so
wow.
they got rid of
yes.
their Western Swing. Damn, I can't believe they did that.
Wow.
I am
it
shocked.
they have been slowly pushing away from California, and that's one of the reasons why the Wild Wild West series came about a couple
Hmm.
years ago. Now it's my we've had him on, the owner of Bass Angler Magazine picked that up, and is offering, I think now, what did he say, $50,000 guaranteed to the winner? I think that's what it was.
I think so. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a big
Yeah.
paycheck. It's a real big paycheck. He's putting a lot of work into it. And, that's why a lot of these series have come about, because the Toyota series was not going that direction. And like Thomas said, the schedule did come out today for the 2025 Toyota Series event. They are coming to Potomac River, and that's pretty much closest one for me. September the 11th through the 13th, they'll be on the river. So it should be a pretty good event. Rivers, go ahead.
Why, if you're in business, I guess like this is where I'm trying to like understand where Bass basically said after the big split and all the pros left from MLF, we're never going to go to California, or Texas is the end of the United States basically. There's no America after that. And then Major League Fishing had this insanely great opportunity, FLW, like they're just giving us this area that we could just move stores into. They don't do it, and now everyone's pulling out of this area.
Yep.
Is this they say it's because they can make money somewhere else, but is this a missed opportunity by them the last 10 years?
I, I want to say no. And the reason why I say that is because so many anglers that I know personally have all moved to the East Coast.
Mm.
A lot of them have said, we can't keep afford the travel, the airfare. I know back in the day, a lot of the anglers used to leave their boats, and some of them even have two
Yeah.
boats,
Yeah.
and they would leave their boat over here on the East Coast at a buddy's house and
Wow.
fly home for a week, and then fly back for the next tournament, then pick their boat up at their buddy's house. And, that gets back to the payouts just ain't big enough to pay for the expenses that goes into this whole entire,
Yeah.
elite series, major league
Mm.
fishing series. And that's, that was the main reason behind it. And I heard, like I said, when I started about 15 years ago, like I said, a lot of people were, jet dropping boats, flying home for spend a little time with family. And that's one of the reasons why that I think the Elite Series back in the day started this thing where every other weekend is pretty much a freaking tournament.
Yeah.
Let's get the season over with where you're not you're 8, 9 tournaments, so you might be gone 3 months out of the year. The other 9 are yours to do whatever you want. So I mean, that was the reason for that. And then, the NPFL came out and kind of broke the mold on that because they wanted to go the direction of the way it used to be.
Yep.
And put it back to one tournament a month, and 3 weeks out of the month you work your 9 to 5 job. And so it kind of went to appeal to a lot of different anglers who, like Geek, that works a job and said, hey, I want to fish a professional fishing league and take home $100,000.
Yep.
For the winner.
The other thing that came out from that schedule was interesting is I've always been hoping that the Toyotas would do, I think, the smart thing and have a mid-Atlantic schedule, because the Potomac and then you go to Canada for 2. Why not do a Cherokee, Lake Norman, a Kerr, Gaston, Smith Mountain Lake could potentially do a Toyota series, potentially. The Potomac, the James. You could, in this, like, Northern Tennessee, North Carolina, Virginia area, Maryland, there are a lot of diehard anglers here that have the money because they have federal jobs. Yep. But the 2 series that you could go to is either down in Florida or up in Canada. And it feels like, why not just shift the Western series and just slot it in there? But they apparently think BFLs are their moneymaker when they were just complaining. We don't have enough people turning out for BFLs. You know what we're going to do? More BFLs. That's what's going to do it. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, so like we went from like the super tournament to the double super tournament to, I heard today at the table that they're sending out emails to try to get people to show up for the Kerr event, for the 2-day Kerr event at the end of the month. So you're right.
Yeah, I'm sure the BFLs are their moneymaker because the payouts are horrible. I mean, they're horrible. It's the worst. And I've seen commercials where like, it's the best payout in America. No, it's not. Not by a long shot. It's horrible. The payouts are horrible.
Yeah, I got to hear that this weekend as well, and how, when I was at the the BFL on the James River about payouts, and I think the winner took home $6,000 and the co-angler took home $3,000. They did pay 20 or 21 spots. Please don't quote me on that, because everyone in this super tournament, if you made it to the next day, everybody got a paycheck. But you're right. It wasn't a huge payout when, guys, I got a tournament up here and I think they only had like 25 boats in it, but they do have the side pots. Now, guys, the Cat tournament series up here on Smith Mountain Lake, and they're on a lot of lakes. I think he's got like 15 tournament series going on now from Virginia all the way down to Georgia. They have the gold, they have the silver, they have different pots, because he said he'd never go up on his entry fees, and Brett has never gone up on the entry fee. But, we're talking about $4,000 for an individual tournament after, and that's big fish. That's all of it. So, I mean, and that's
the Tennessee, the Morristown Marine.
Yeah, Morristown, yep.
Team trail. That's $10,000. It's a team trail. It's
wow.
$45 pay in. It's $75 for you and your partner. It's $150 a boat per tournament. It's a $30,000 championship guaranteed. It's $10,000 guaranteed tournaments. They have, I mean, it's tough. Like, there's a lot of good anglers in it. They fish, 5 tournaments a year. It's, I mean, so for $75, I can go compete for, if I got to split my check with my buddy, $5,000, or for $200. Well, let's see, what is it for a boat, or $225 on a BFL? I can go maybe win 3 to 5, maybe 3 to 6, depending on the number of the boats that are in it. So no.
The economy is also a big part of it. Like, when are we going to say the obvious thing because I mean, like Brian, you said you had a very big tournament at Hopewell, and maybe not. You thought more boats potentially could come out to it,
Right.
and it didn't. And some people, because I had some friends that fished it. Chad, huge shout out boss for winning that thing. Uh, a lot of people complain it's because the BFL was going over top of it, which is potential. But I think when you make the purse so big and people still don't turn out for it, at what point should we just look this horse in the face like, dude, we're in a recession, and there's just not the same amount of people
Yeah.
out there for the amount of tournaments we have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, the this is like a whole another thing, but our you don't see now. I hate to say this, we're not seeing that youth jump into it as much as we used to. We saw that big youth push a few years ago, and we're not seeing the youth turn out as much as we did then. And older anglers are dropping out. They don't want to spend the money on the extra technology that you have to win now. And so they just said, hey, I'm just going to go pleasure fish. And that's cool. I mean, that helps out the Virginia Game and Fish. Now I remember what it is. After I had that blink. But yeah, so I mean, it's going to be one of those deals where the feeder system is really not producing what it used to be. I mean, at this event, the two gentlemen that won, what are they, like, Thomas, maybe 35, 40 in that area?
Yeah, they're millennials, I guess.
Yeah, millennials.
Say that. Yeah,
but there weren't too many young people there fishing this event. It was a lot of guys my age and older. So I mean, it's a lot of, but a lot of the young people were fishing the BFL. I mean, I went over there for the final day. Not in to go. I know a lot of the guys that fish the BFL. I've been to 3 of them this year so far. So there's a lot of kids that have jumped into that side of it because I guess they see the potential of going to the All-American.
Yep.
And that's, as I had a conversation with someone about that today about, he hopes he qualifies for the All-American.
Yeah.
No, yeah, and I circle back to the other things like I don't think we want to say that quiet part out loud, and it's not anything, and it's not anything that's trying to be of ill will or malicious, but it's looking the gift horse in the mouth of, yeah, it's just we have to tighten our bootstraps. The people that can financially do it are going to do it. The people that can't just can't. If you're a high school, college kid, first off, you have a load of different things you can do. Second, you can probably be on a high school fishing team, which is basically free. So you can go scratch that itch that way versus paying $200-300 to go with a boat that you have to get everything fixed up for, or you can go out of a kayak too. Again, I keep going to say that, like, I really think Bass and MLF will never admit how much that cuts into their bottom line.
Oh,
there's
yeah.
so much.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because, again, Brian, you and I talked about this on the show, like, what's going to happen with Torpedo, and the next day Yamaha buys them. Why would Yamaha buy them unless they think that this is a stock worth investing in?
Oh, yeah, 100%. And the kayak thing, it's going through a little lull right now. We all know that, but I'm hoping that in 2025 we can all get on the same page eventually. And we brought that up. I think me and you were talking about that when Hobie allowed motors. So I mean, it's spreading. The Torpedo was allowed on a Hobie or whatever it was, I think. But it's just like anything else. When you sign a deal where the industry needs more money, let's go out and get Torpedo. They're a big company. Now they're owned by another, a major company. So, I mean, okay, I guess we're going to allow it now because we really need the money to pay all these dues, fees, tournament directors. So, I mean, it's a trickle down is what it really is.
And I don't think kayaking will ever take over the boating and the bass boat thing. But let's say they take 15% of the market. That's it. That's still a heck of a hit if it's that specific, let's say the younger demographic, because Earl that's 80 is not getting in a kayak. No. But some college kids that just got married and have a wife and kids and all that stuff, they can scratch that itch. So again, if it's the right 10%, the market will feel it.
Oh, yeah.
And like you just said, you wonder if a lot of these younger guys are getting into that. And that's why the feeder system is not being fed right now, because there is another outlet and another direction to go.
Mm-hmm. And another rule that came out, I do want to touch on this because I think it's funny. They finally, Major League Fishing thought Boater-on-boater draws are not allowed in 2025. After this law being on the books for 250 years, they figured finally is the time to get rid of it. So huge clap that you guys finally did a
Yes.
thing correctly.
Yes.
How is that
Yes.
still around? It makes no sense.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
All right, guys,
Yeah.
what a show tonight, man. Like I said, we just kind of want to, Thomas on vacation. We don't want to keep him too daggone long, but just want to hit on a couple of things and some topics that are happening right now in the world of bass fishing. Schedules are coming out. A lot of them, going to get released over the next, probably be another one released on Friday because you know how they spread it all out.
Probably.
Yeah, it'll probably be I think I have seen the BFL schedule, tentative schedule for the Shenandoah and for the Piedmont division already has come out, and I've seen that. So a lot of schedules will be released, and there'll be a whole lot to talk about in the world of bass fishing. But guys, stay safe out there. Whatever you guys are fishing, good luck to you this weekend. I'll be back on the road, like I said, covering tournaments. Thomas, when's the vacation over?
So I think vacation is over on Friday. By the way, fluke, which are also called flounder, love drop shots. I found that out.
Wow.
They actually
Really?
smoked it. So yeah, I was catching with a drop shot. Yeah, guys, I like to catch anything. It's not just bass. I love to catch drum, speckled trout, things like that. So this is kind of fun to scratch that itch. The big thing coming up, if you guys haven't known, the nonprofit that I've been talking about forever,
Yeah,
I've got
saw
the
that.
paperwork sent out. It's called Casting for Conservation. What we're going to be doing is that F1 stocking you love so much, we're going to be trying to pursue that specifically for like the Potomac River and some other lakes that the DWR can't really hit. But we're also going to do this for my riverettes. We're going to do smallmouth. So the James River, the Murray, places like that don't get the same love. We're going to be working on that. And then my brainchild that I'm really happy about, there's a lot of shitty boat ramps out there. I want to try to start fixing up some boat ramps. It doesn't take much to get some gravel or some concrete and just to patch up some boat ramps. So that's what our nonprofit's going to be about, and that's coming in 2025.
So if you aren't a member of the Patreon yet, please make sure you guys go become a member of the Patreon and help Thomas out, as well as the fixing of boat docks. And I think it was Brooke Neal did theirs like a couple years ago. But you really do wish that a lot. I mean, we complain about it a lot over here in on the James River, Monacan Park. I mean, that thing is awful. I mean, it's a disaster, and it gets beat up really bad. A lot of pontoons, jet skis, you name it, are out there. So there's a lot of boat docks that need to be fixed. They're all fished, but need to be fixed. Guys, I'm running my whole entire photo lab at work by myself, and I've been doing it since last Wednesday. And I'm ready for a vacation. Yeah. I can tell you that right now. I'm ready to go sit on a pier. I got my deep sea rods downstairs, ready to be put in the Forerunner and go to the beach. So here. I need a little detox away from everything. Geek, what you got happening, brother?
Just the same old, same old.
He's slinging, he's throwing.
Pissing a few people, a few anti FFS people off, and that's about it, man. We're gonna go do a little bit of fishing tomorrow, a little bit of filming. We're back to the normal videos now. Just the how-tos and that sort of stuff. So might do a live stream next week. We still haven't let the poll out of the bag.
We need to do that.
So we might do a little bit of a live stream next Wednesday, and just sit back and let anybody who wants to maybe debate me on that. See if anybody can change my mind.
We'll be watching, everybody. We'll be watching. All right, guys, don't forget, like I said, the Bassmaster Open starts today, and it goes through the weekend. So we're really excited to watch that. Make sure you tune in on Fox. I know I'll be watching at least one day of it. And then, like I said, I'll be heading to Kerr Lake for the Five Alive Championship. So be safe out there, everyone. Please give us a follow and a like. It's free. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, it costs you nothing to hit a like button. Nothing in this whole entire world. And by the way, don't forget, the next issue of our On the Line newsletter goes out this Sunday. So that'll be dropped in our description where you guys can sign up for that. And we're sitting at about 1,600 subscribers so far. So I'm pretty stoked about that. Yeah. So, and a great open percentage rate. So thank you guys. And guys, I'm going to wrap this up because I'm just starting to ramble here. But don't forget, we got 3 people who are some amazing writers who are handling this whole entire thing. And guess what? It's not me. We got, let's see here. Let me find it here. Bruce is writing, by the way. And we got Carson and Calvin. So we got 3 great writers who are writing the content for the newsletter. I'm just putting it all together, making sure it looks pretty and sending it out to you guys. So this is stories and content that you will not find anywhere else except for our newsletter on the line. So have a great week, everyone, and we will see you all next week. And Thomas will be back to his normal grind, everybody. So stay tuned.
See ya.